This is the night watchman's booth. The name on the door reads, René Arnaud. Listen, it's okay to take a few minutes to yourself. Sit down and have a breather.
If you must. But please hurry. We are pretty easy to spot up here.
Nothing incriminating catches your eye. The cabinets are clean and their sparse contents meticulously organized. There's a framed photograph on the table. Looks like the inhabitant is rather pedantic when it comes to order. It's a black and white photo of a young couple out in a street fair. The man is young, dark-skinned, and dressed in a Royal Caribbean.
Why did you take that? Fine, but let's move. I don't want to be seen snooping around here.
This is the night watchman's.
Container, I'll turn you nice and red.
The lyrics to this container song are being made up. The accent is so thick, it's impossible not to notice he's Ubi, from the vanishing peninsula of Ubisund.
Container, used to be Wild Pines. Container, now belongs to Everard. Everard, he looks after everyone. I see you are not a union man, mister. Did you get lost? You're not one of them scabs, are you? I mean, I don't personally mind. Folks is just folks, you know, and folks gotta eat. Just some of the other guys don't look too kindly on the scabbing kind, if you know what I mean, mister. Oh yes, born and raised in Irish, mister. Mum had to leave my dad after he got a bit violent. Took us here to the new world. I was about 10 then. Two people say us Ubis are up to all sorts of trouble with sheep and other animals and whatnot. I just want you to know there was never any of—
Thank you for clarifying that, sir.
Oh, I'm just making some covers for them containers here. Yes I am. So it's easier for the crane operators to spot them.
The containers in the yard are green in Wild Pines livery, and the mountains rising, it's like some red infection was spreading outward. There appear to be cisterns underneath the Union container covers.
Oh, I don't know, mister. They say it's some chemicals. Most of them have labels on them, I think. No, not really. Mr. Everett doesn't tell me all the big things. Says I go and tell them to everyone.
Yes, they are hiding it from the inside. All the red containers have the Debarders Union logo on them.
Oh, no trouble at all, mister. No trouble at all. Oh, that one. That should be empty as far as I know. Lots of containers here have nothing. Oh, you want Mr. Everett then? He's an awfully nice fellow, he is. Him and guys like Mr. Everett and Mr. Edgar, his brother, are real good guys. Made Martinez what it is today. Mr. Everett and Mr. Edgar and I went to the same school, we did, when we were— Oh, Mr. Everett is where he always is. In his office, of course. Oh, I'm sure, mister. About what? Most of the guys are down at the gates, keeping the scabs from coming in. We're on a strike. The whole union is. You don't have to work when you're on strike. Ha! We haven't worked for 2 months now.
So no one is working?
Not everyone is down there, of course. Mr. Everard is in his office, where he always is. And Jean-Luc is guarding the gate. But Titus and his boys got into some drunken trouble and Everard sent them on a nice vacation. For a week or so. Oh, I'm not really supposed to talk about that. Him and his boys stirred up something in town. Probably drank too much and got into a fight or something. I heard Mr. Everett telling them to take some time off. No, I don't think they killed anyone. Let's better talk about something else. Titus and his boys do good work. I don't want to get them in trouble over a little drinking.
He probably doesn't know anything anyway. Who in their right mind would tell him?
Bye-bye now.
Before you is a walrus of a man seated behind a large desk. He looks up from his work, not the least bit surprised to see you. With great effort, he straightens himself up in his chair.
Welcome, Mr. Dubois, Mr. Kitsuragi. It's good of you two to stop by. Please, have a seat. I'm Everard Clare, head of the Debarders Union here in Martinez. I'd offer you my hand, but unfortunately my health prevents me from getting up.
He looks extremely comfortable. The tiny folding chair, on the other hand, looks like a torture device.
You go ahead, detective.
Whatever he has in store for you, it can't be good, he thinks. Forget about that. What's with this Dubois stuff? You're getting some seriously bad vibes from that name.
Please, Mr. Dubois, let us converse in a civilized manner, as equals. Take a seat.
It's nothing. Yes, that's probably right. It's nothing. Forget about it.
Very well, Mr. Dubois. I respect a man with strong convictions. I, too, have convictions. One of which is that should you find yourself more amenable...
You're no Titan of Volition, buddy. He's got you in a fork.
Excellent, Mr. Dubois. I can see that you're a reasonable man, and reasonable men can be of great use to one another. So tell me, how can the head of the Debarders Union help a representative of the Revachol Citizens Militia today?
The chair you're sitting on has got to be the most uncomfortable chair in the world. It's violating your
By the way, I heard you got a rather rude reception from a certain Lawrence Gart. This should take care of that nonsense. It should be sufficient to cover your expenses for a few days and patch over your differences with a cafeteria manager. Go ahead, take it.
Wow, that's 25 real. That's good money. You need it.
Is there anything you'd like to say to me? Or... Cool? I wouldn't go that far. I'm sure there are cooler things than delivering a comically oversized novelty check to a cafeteria manager. Now, I'd like to set your mind at ease about one other matter. Your lost gun. Let me assure...
His slug-like lips move, but all you hear is an echo. Lost gun. The world is swallowed by a black hole of fear. Only 2 words escape its gravitational pull. Oh God. Why didn't you think of this before? Cops have guns. Where's yours? Fuck love. This is your...
Are you all right, Harry? You seem anxious. It's not like you left it loaded. You didn't lose a loaded gun. Local children aren't out there playing with it right now, pointing it into their own mouths. It's in a safe...
It was loaded. There were 2 bullets in it. You always keep at least 2 barrels loaded.
Officer, we will deal with this later.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
Officer,
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
God, you're sweating. Your knee is jerking. You're about to cry, aren't you? You're about to cry. You want to cry? God, you're weak. Whatever you do,
Mr. Dubois,
despair creeps into you, getting fat on your weakness. You're still coming up with sentences. That's a step up from total annihilation, right?
yes, it can be difficult to be on the receiving end of some...
Nothing you can say. Cop gives up. This is the night. Listen, it's okay.
If you must.
Nothing looks like the inhabit. It's a black and white.
Why did you take that? Fine. But let...
Control panel with several knobs. 2 buttons marked Marsh, Marsh, On, Arrête.
Container,
The lyrics to the accent.
container, I see you. I mean, I don't personally, just some of the other. Oh, yes. Or people say us.
Thank you for clarifying that, sir.
Oh, I'm just making some covers for them containers here.
Everything is so pretty and red. You
Sure is, man.
I had to break this bonding moment.
Oh, we're on a strike.
So no one...
Not, but Titus and his boys got into some drunken trouble and, oh, I'm him and his boy. No, I don't.
he probably doesn't know anything anyway.
Oh, that one. That should be empty. Oh, you want guys like Mr. Evra. Oh, Mr. Evra, bye-bye now.
Before you, with great effort.
welcome, Mr. I'm Evra. I'd offer you my hand.
He looks extremely
You go ahead, detective.
Whatever, forget about that. What's with this Dubois stuff?
Please, Mr.
It's nothing. Yes,
Very well, Mr. Dubois. I, too, should you find your...
you're no Titan affiliation, buddy. He's got you.
Excellent, Mr. Dubois. I can see that you are real... So tell me.
The chair you're sitting on has got to be the...
This should take care. It should be sufficient to cover your...
Wow, that's 25 real.
Is there anything you'd like to say to me? Cool. Now,
His slug-like lips move, but all you hear is an echo. Lost gun, lost gun, lost gun. Despair creeps into you, getting fat on your weakness. You're still coming up with set. He watches you melt down stoically. Nothing you can. Cop gives up. Before you, with great effort,
Welcome, I'd offer you...
He looks extreme.
You go ahead.
Whatever, forget about that.
Please, Miss...
It's nothing. Yes,
Very well. I, too. Should you find...
you're no Titan affiliation, buddy. He's got you in a fork. Sit down or leave.
Excellent, Mr. Dubois. So tell...
The chair you're sitting on.
Oh, but this, it should be
Wow, that's 25.
Is there anything cool? Now,
His slug-like lip. The world is... Oh, God. Why didn't you think of this before? It's gone. Your gun is gone.
are you all right? It's not like you...
It was loaded. There were 2 bullets in it. You always keep at least 2 barrels loaded.
Officer,
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
God, you're sweating. Your knee is jerking. You're about to cry.
Mr. De...
Despair creeps into you, getting fat on your weakness. You're still coming up with sentences. That
yes, it can be difficult to be on the receiving.
nothing you can... Cop gives up. Before you, with great effort,
Welcome, Mr. De... I'd offer you my...
he looks...
You go ahead.
Whatever, forget about that. What's with this Dubois stuff? You're getting...
Excellent, Mr. Dubois. So tell me...
The chair you're sitting...
Oh, but this, it should be...
Wow, that's 25 real.
Yes,
With a grin, he points to the checker game. It's like you're on a game show.
Okay. Now,
His slug-like lips move. The world is... Oh, God. Fuck love.
are you all right? It's not like you...
It was loaded. There were 2 bullets in it. You always keep it. God, you're... Before you, with a mixture of
Welcome, I'd offer you...
He looks...
You go...
Whatever, forget about that.
Please, Mr. Dubois. Very well. I, too... Should you find yourself...
You're no Titan affiliation, buddy. He's got you in a fork. Sit down or leave. Rusting control panel with marsh. With a loud grind, the crane shifts overhead, moving a massive metal container through the air. And, with a surprising, the harbor sleeps as the strike rages in the distance. The crane can rest. The rusty control panel grows warm. A faint smell of burning rubber reaches your nostrils.
I can't see how that was worth the wreckers. except for seeing the crane in action.
Before you stands a cargo
You do? There are a million containers here. Why are you fixating on this one? There may very well be, but we are not here. We are not here to interact with containers.
You attempt to turn the handle. To your left, the lieutenant considers your actions with some puzzlement. You attempt to your left, the lieutenant can no reply. The knock produces a hollow ring of metal. Doesn't sound like there's anything inside the container. Why are you even trying to open a door with rhetoric?
Because what wasn't an option? Now is not the time to get philosophical, detective. You can do...
You attempt to your left. You're back before the cargo container. This is the night. The chair is not as austere as the rest of the booth. The drawers are empty, save for old timesheets and receipts. Once
I'm not here to tell you what to do, detective.
you take the painkillers, they are yours now. Oh boy, where to start? Elevated risk of dementia, don't think about that. Quick, think about something else. Your nihilistic humor renders the list of side effects null and void, just like everything else in this empty world. Yes. You stand and exit the booth.
Mr. Dubois, I hope time... Please, Mr. Dubois. Very well, Miss... I, too, should you find your...
You're no Titan affiliation, buddy.
Excellent, Mr. Dubois. I can see that you are... So tell...
The chair you're sitting on has got...
Oh, by the way, it should be sufficient.
Wow, that's 25 real. That's good.
Is there anything you'd like cool? Now.
His slug-like lips. The world is... Oh, God. Why didn't you think of this? Fuck love.
Are you all right, Harry? It's not like you left it loaded.
It was loaded. There were 2 bullets in it. God, you're sweating. Your knee... You what?
Mr. Dubois, you...
What is this, Mr. Dubois? He keeps repeating.
Mr. Dubois! Mr. Dubois! Harry! Mr. Dubois, are you...
Maybe you could use your hands somehow. In a kind of throw-in motion. Like you're throwing that Mr. Dubois act right back at him. He's Mr. Dubois.
What an odd demonstration of... you got me, Harry.
Okay, enough. We are here to ask you...
Quick, here's your window. Get yourself together and ask him questions. Police officer questions.
Of course. Let us dispatch with the formalities. My God, so it's true. I didn't want to believe it, but you are a fantastic science fiction amnesiac.
I think the odds of that are...
It might be a good idea to hide your confusion.
So good to hear that, Harry. Apparently my sources were wrong. However, if you did have a spot of memory trouble, I could help you out. With my big...
Words flow like a river of honey from his lips. I guess word has already reached him. It's just a brown folder. You can't make out what's written on it.
Are you trying to tell me you've gotten hold of some of our documents?
Mr. Kitsuragi, would you mind? Me and Harry are talking...
Don't just jump to the folder. That's not smart. Shows you're on the edge. Do some probing first. Everart's large hands are covering the folder, but the look on his face says,
I'm sure it's not that bad. At worst, he has an old RCM folder. And
Harry, I just know the things that matter to our friendship, and I want you to feel free to ask me about those things. Harry, you're not simply a cop, you're a star. A bright shining star in the drab law enforcement sky, outshining all other stars. Of course I do, Harry. And I'm gonna help you shine. I'm gonna put you on all...
He's probably just making a guess based on your recent activity in Martinez.
But of course, Harry. Your precinct is the 41st...
He doesn't really seem to know any more about it.
It's Harry. Harry Dubois. No, I'm really not. You are Harry. Don't be silly, Harry. Harry Dubois, that's a real man's name. Mr. Kitsuragi doesn't seem even slightly empathetic to your memory loss, Harry. I, however, wish to help you anyway. Family? Harry, you're not a family man. There's not one peep of family in here. Unless you think you're a family man. Do you? Well, yes. I'm sure you're going to make one little boy or a girl very happy and proud one day, Harry. Ah, this?
This translates into, haha, you guys are so corrupt.
I find that very suspicious.
I'm afraid this is meant for Union eyes only, Mr. Kitsuragi. Of course, Harry, of course. Let's not... Honestly, I didn't want to bring it up, Harry. I heard you have become Measurehead's race pupil. Personally, I'm not big on the whole race thing, but that's okay. It's all right to be a massive racist, Harry. Let me assure you, I'm very glad you're comfortable sharing this with me. I run a big and quirky... Anyway, I assure you, I am a very well-informed man. My dear Harry, there are literally millions of containers in... Harry, you smooth-talking son of a bitch. Time is a precious resource, and I don't have enough of it to count containers with you.
Smooth talking. Maybe that's the way to go about opening the container. You should at least try convincing it.
Yes, your lost gun. My best men are on it. They're turning every step. Your gun will be found, Harry. Let me assure...
The only way to find it seems to be working with him. He might even be holding your gun hostage.
I don't care about my gun. I love it, Harry. Wish I could be like that, but I can't. I have a responsibility to...
The officer is exaggerating. Of course we care about the missing...
Excellent, Mr. Kitsuragi. That's excellent news. Looks like we have a friendly gun-finding competition on our hands. Let's hear it, Harry. Of course, Harry, Oh, of course. That's your main thing here. That's why you're in Martinez. I know everything that goes on around here, and I would love to help. I mean, it's no secret that the lynching is connected to the strike. So much to talk about. Honestly, it's been weighing on me so heavily. But there's a thing that's been keeping me up at night. I want to talk about...
Yes, that sounds good. Let's do that.
But I can't think straight with this thing weighing on me. You're police officers, aren't you? I have a crazy idea. You guys are basically door-opening machines.
I'm not sure I understand. If you're asking us to break down someone's door...
Come now. I just need you to go open a little door for me and leave it unlocked.
An excellent opportunity presents itself, sire. You could win the trust of the arch liar, pretend to play into his hand, then should you wish, bend his efforts towards your own.
Harry, my dear friend, I am what people call a local bigwig. I know everything that goes on in Martinez. Harry, I'm a very busy man, and more importantly, I don't have that extraordinary physique you do. You look like you could run around all day.
You want to send someone a message that the police are working for you.
I repeat, I'm a very, very busy man, Mr. Of course, Harry, I understand. Perhaps this was just bad timing for you.
Yes, we both understand what you meant.
This may be the only way, he thinks. I won't hold it against you. In fact, we probably should reconsider later.
Wait. You need this to get in and out through the gate. Here, you're one of us now. A real red and white Union man. Take...
The front of this quarterly journal features a large To your disappointment, there aren't any full-color pictures to direct your attention. No advertisements, you notice. After rifling the pages with your thumb, the magazine is divided into several sections. International developments, Kunst und Kultur, and local concerns. Just inside the cover, there's all. It takes a moment, but gradually, why they decided to title this one section In Volda is beyond you. Obviously, because it's cool to drop random phrases in foreign language. As you leaf through this section, you come across several reviews of recent radio plays, as well as a brief. The main feature, though, is a long essay titled The Tip Top Tournée is an inter-isolari racing series, mostly known for its high speeds, ludicrous sponsorship deals, and you think you're settling in for a relaxing recap of the most recent season. Instead, you find yourself skimming a 10,000-word feature about all the politically problematic aspects. Where to even start? For one, there's the crass commercialism of its sponsorship. So, all of it, basically. And that precisely is what's problematic about it. Were it not for the promise of random, spectacular violence, audiences would quickly lose interest. At the end of the day, it's the destruction of these 750,000 real races that you're really watching for. You see, one cannot avoid the conclusion that Tip Top Tournée is simply the apotheosis of spectacular entertainment under capitalism.
Oh, come on. Can this article read your mind? A certain kind of young man reads one or two books and suddenly thinks he understands the secret structures of reality. If I had to wager, I'd say they've never even seen the inside of a motor, much less a motor race. I take whatever they write.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds. Unsurprisingly, much of this section is you skim the headlines. Finally, there's a brief article by the writer, G. Martin, accusing the owner of the Capeside Apartments of illegally attempting to evict certain communist tenants simply for not having paid their rent. The writer G. Martin remarks dryly that capitalists love wealth redistribution. It's true, the rentiers have been bleeding you dry. You really ought to find your own place one of these days. You flip back to the front of the magazine, the table of content. This section includes a long... You also skip over an article about heavy fuel. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Bear wrestling. It seems to be part of a new public fitness initiative in the People's Republic of Samara, SRV, devised and promoted by none other than President Kennedy. According to this extremely credulous account, Uncle Sport, of course not. The article makes plain that this is man on bed. According to the SRV's Ministry of Information, the program has been a tremendous success. Public supports. This is the SRV we're talking about. If you think those are the real numbers, what are you, a statistician? Did the moral intern send you on a fact-finding mission? This is the SRV party line.
The Samaran People's Republic? No, I should expect not. Why do you ask? I suppose that would be something to see.
You flip back to the front, comrade. As you know, this journal takes its name from Mazov's immortal express. But, like the structures of capitalist ideology, only 4 issues in, and perhaps they've overestimated the market. So please, if you value our radical Mazovian perspective...
What do you expect? It was laying around the office of the Debarders Union. They're probably bankrolling the thing.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. It's just a racist mug. What's there to... But it will not... The file cabinet stands steady as ever, and the unlocked drawer slides out to look how blurry all the hermeneutics was almost within your grasp. But now, only vague letters float before. You are a police officer, not a spiritual healer. Whatever's hidden here is hidden well. Concentration isn't enough. Only a trained accountant with a background in logistics would be able to really make sense. It appears to be a to-do list. Remember, Leo, Everart's shoes. Special whirling borscht. All items on the list have been crossed out, and the note itself is crumpled.
One of his aides must have left it.
The special borscht seems a bit odd in the list. Remember, Leo, Everart. All items on the list. The drawer slide.
So, how'd you like our harbor?
You've been in there, he means. Talked to the boss.
It's but a rest area on the path leading across open plains. Right. You talk to the boss, eye to eye. Like men of the plain. The mercenary, eh? Who could have killed him? That's indeed...
The man whispers a jaunty tune. Hey, psst, psst. Yes, you. Word on the street is you're ready to... Yes, you're ready to start building communism again. You've built it before. They've built it before. Good. You keep saying things like, down with the bourgeoisie, eat the rich, sodomize the landowners, impale all people who have more than 25 real in their pocket, literally murder all human beings regardless of their political beliefs. Funky style. Very funky. So tell me, do you have any questions before we fire up the big communism builder? Or do failure? It's about failure. Of course you do. You are failure. You are communism. Absolutely vanquished, beaten, curb stomped, shat on. You alone, against every living thing, against every human alive. You against the atom, the charm, and now get to work, comrade. Oh yeah, get the firing squads and the animal wagons ready. Too late to back out now. Lonesome, long way home. Here we go. Home awaits. Walk past Station 41 and through the market, past the Boogie Street spearhead to the other side of the lake, the frozen eye at the center of the district. Then past the video rental store on the corner. There, at the end of a street lined with pine trees, a small house no larger than a matchbox. 11 Voyager Road. You no longer live there. Those
Right to work! Right!
Can I help you? Yes, have you got it? You must be joking, right? You come here, this isn't a game show. I'm not going to accept it.
You can cash it in at the local frit near the harbor gates, though it might not be enough to cover it.
A lot. For the room and broken window? Like what? I was really another thing. Great. I love those. Yes?
A thin man is smoking below an exhaust hood, occasionally sipping from his mug. As you step in, he nods toward the table and says something in a completely okay, it's definitely not his name. Whatever you do, please don't call him Garancy Quebec. The man puts his cup down and replies something. His left hand drawing art. He smiles and bangs his... It's almost like music, especially with the sounds of assorted dishes boiling and simmering on the stove. He smiles. It's almost like... You see a heavy steel door with a prominent dimple lock. The door does not budge. The cobalt blue surf, old cobalt paint. It leads to a side building adjacent to this one.
You do? It's a door in the back of the kitchen.
The winch, outside, in the backyard. Remember? No, your fingers do.
Well, if there was a wing...
It's hardly a side investigation. You already have a name for it.
Gart is the person to ask about this. The
I help you?
The door is closed. This door can only... There is no answer. You hear the shower being turned on. Still no answer. Still nothing. The lieutenant gives you a quick... The bed is cold.
The option to go to sleep becomes available every night after 9 p.m.
The fan is spinning. The blades come squeaking to a halt. A terrible mistake. Turn the lights off immediately. You can practically feel the photons burning a hole. Your eyes burn with photosensitivity. It's not good.
Hello, sweetie.
Wait, who's... Her eyes move up and down your person as though...
You're a handsome man, officer, with your mustache. But dear, you're not for me. I'm too old and too married, but you must forgive me. I'm Lena. My husband Morel and I are staying with our friend Gary just down the street, but I come... Whatever do you mean? Sequence killers? Oh my. But
A partner who needs you to help him get a corpse down from a tree. I can assure you with absolute certainty, there are no sequence killings.
Now, gentlemen, no need to squabble. Thank you, but... Martine, perhaps another time. Of course, dear.
An old call box with a matrix of push buttons lists all the companies in the East Delta Commerce Center. This button...
Huh. This button looks new. It's probably not connected yet.
You ring the doorbell. There he still is, looking right through you with his white eyes. The body below is entirely dedicated to that corpse smell. The trash containers. The smell of rotten food rises to greet you. You see soggy cartons, dirty rags, and organic waste. It's just... Oh, what's this? A blue piece of plastic sticks out from the apple peels. Something larger. A clipboard. A blue plastic clipboard with...
Officer, is that your paperwork? Yes, it is. Look. This plastic has the RCM street grid on it. If you don't mind my asking, how could you have let your paperwork end up in the trash? Well, lucky we found it. You should take stock of what remains, just to be sure some has not made it into the hands of the RCM's adversaries. Organized crime and the like. I see, yes. You are what we call a badass, aren't you?
Wow, went off script there. Getting your ass handed to you. You shouldn't go picking fights if your rhetorical faculties haven't suggested.
Tell me, does your badass see more in there? Ah, yes, and it would also be appropriate to start taking notes on the case.
Some items, such as the ledger you found, are interactable.
The container sounds a muffled gong. It's just a racist mug. What's the... It's the ledger you found in the trash. A pitiful cabbage of white and yellow papers hanging from plastic. There's a piece of toilet paper. It's a metaphor. Thank you, waterlogged ledger, for spelling it out for us. They're not exactly white. They're yellowed in patches by sunlight and alcohol, and covered in dense blue handwriting. Ink escapes into watercolor patterns, reaching its tendrils across entire pages. The paper itself is checkered, with faint red lines. Once in a while, there's a red stamp that exclaims, case files, work, strife, poverty, the Jamrock Quarter. These are handwritten logs of investigations dating back to January 51, this year. The exact number is hard to estimate, due to missing pages and an odd naming convention. But there are at least 20. It's the middle of March. You have attempted 2 cases a week on average. What do you mean? Is that all?
Huh? 2 complex cases to undertake is a lot, yes. You really have to push yourself. I would not suggest it. Lest you... 2? That's a lot. I didn't mean to say you are making mistakes, by the way. That was presumptuous of me. It's okay. We all make mistakes.
Like a fan of girls, the checkered papers dry in your hand. Yes, it appears you employ a, shall we say, a title, one might say even. One that draws inspiration from snoop fiction and vespertine cop show staples. Yes, all caps. One is called The Next World Mural. Others appear more light-hearted. The guy's on a couch in an unexpected location. It's going to take an effort to piece these case files. There is, for precisely one more. Once all the tasks are accomplished. Sadly, the ledger only comes with an old, worn-down lead. The lieutenant looks at his blue. He is not really saying anything.
Know that I give this to you with resentment.
The tasks you've completed flow out of the blue oblong pen in a brash freehand, uncannily. Inspect the victim's body. Interview the cap. It's not exactly poetry, but poetry would be out of place. A satisfying slash sounds across. You're a swashbuckler with that pen, Harry, and it feels good. Feel things to be done and things already done.
No, actually. Any ideas? Okay. It's a good name, but it has something more concrete, perhaps? Do you have something... Ah, yes. I have to tell you, officer, I don't appreciate ironic titles. Other officers will have to use this as reference. If it's idiot or... They're not going to get it. Furies. Yes, well, I don't know. I have to be honest, I'm not experiencing the internal strife that refers to. And also, could you make it less poetic somehow?
Yes.
Great. That's great. That's actually what I was thinking too. The Hanged Man. I'm going to start calling it the Hanged Man. It's good we sorted this out.
The notebook is annual. It says 51 on what remains of its cover.
Yes, how very childish of you. In your and my defense, almost everyone in the RCM uses the title. It's a holdover from the early days of the RCM. Right after the revolution, when the organization had little idea. Again, in your defense, I seem to have named one the man with the hole in his head. That was a real person. His death was real. Still, I named it that. I pray his loved ones never find out. Rail spiked through the head. He died. It was a workplace accident.
You don't exactly close them, so much as distance yourself from the smelly papers. Yes, you can piece them together using the alphanumeric code on the margin. It always begins with HDB 41, then date of initialization and time of arrival on the scene. Why yes, your precinct number is 41. Every last alphanumeric in the files begins with it. Harry Dubois, HDB. AKA Leslie and Burke, AKA the public indecency drunk and the property damage drunk, is a cursed case. Leslie will always take his pants off when he's drunk. Burke will always trash everything. It's just what they do. It is then the only way for Leslie to stop flashing his genitals to bypassers and for Burke to stop dismantling signage and rear view mirrors would be for... You would think that, but you're wrong. Where's the fun and can you keep yourself threatening? Fine. It's plain to see from the files that you, Satellite Officer JV, and Special Consultant TH had more important cases to attend to. Good. You're learning. If the files are to be trusted, that's all there is to it. That and Burke breaking things, and the fact that they're both drunk. But then again, so are you. The case becomes considerably less... He must have it confused with the property he likes to damage. But the joke's on him. You're drunk out of your mind. In the process, the ledger sustains damage. The compartment within, reserved for permeable documents, is jammed shut. You stop your assault on the now unconscious Burke to open it, but are unable to do so. He came at us, and at us. I think he was trying to kill Burko. While trying to kill Burko, you slowly come around. The permeables compartment is open. You've smashed it open on poor Burko's knee. Can't get out of his apartment, an invalid. With Burke to tend to, Leslie cuts back on the indecent exposure. Maybe he flashes his genitals to Burke. Who knows? But both drunks are, which is also why the officer responsible narrowly escapes a disciplinary hearing. The N. A.K. Leslie, the own you would, can you keep threatening fines? It's plain to see from the good. He must, he can't get, which is also why the officer, this one is relatively easy to reconstruct. Cause of failure, rent to, the mural is enormous. Two silhouettes, a man and a woman, are kissing. True love is possible. People call it that thing and that fucking thing. The graffito crew is easy to track down. Only the case files do not show you fine. The crew agrees to clean up after the 9,000 people subjected to the mural's message. All of Lakeside, Central Jamrock, and Villa Lobos, plus half of the eminent domain. A staggering 78% of voters choose to keep it. Turns out the opposition were a loud minority. In any case, it appears to have been a rare case of civil activity in the quarter. And agreement as well. What do you want to tackle next? It would be very interesting to read about these, wouldn't it? I mean, there seems to be a square... That's all you got. From the half hour you spent piecing it together, all you know is the entry wound was square-shaped. Who knows? Those pages are missing. One day you may still catch the man with the square gun. Some assholes brought their couch outside and hung out on it. In the middle of the street, on the roof, on the hillside by the motorway. You know, at an unexpected location. Yes, as you've said here, insufferable rock and roll assholes. Young people are the worst. They were leaving it out in all these unexpected and whimsical locations. Cigarette butts, coffee cup. No, you didn't have time for that. These notes show that you have what is called a real goddamn job. You don't have time to be chasing down the couch asshole. Murder. Tum 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 at the hookah parlor was a case originally assigned to an officer called Joseph Mills, who is now dead. Of circumstances completely unconnected, beaten to death by a throng of Villa Lobos gang members when him and his partner J.M. only Joseph Mills was on this case that he just couldn't solve, was doing it solo. Said it was a real nutcracker, a real brain twister. Was on it for Mills didn't get off the pot. Not yet. He kept at it for a couple. No, he was awful. Awful sense of humor, too. The worst jokes you've ever heard. Really? Okay. So the case is handed to you because Mills isn't getting anywhere, and you look into it. Here's the setup. A young man is found dead in a hookah parlor. Yeah. So anyway, young man in his 20s found with his skull busted open. Right on the... No one enters. No one exits. He's just sucking on his watermelon hookah. All Mills has no idea. Invisible assassin. Movie deal gone sour. Girl at the counter did it. See? You can't even read the thing without solving it. Yeah, it was that. Turns out hookah does do something. It turns off your brain's oxygen supply, and you don't notice it until you get up to go to the bathroom. Smoking hookah. Not much has changed in the meanwhile. In the back, you see thin, translucent copy of paper. Then rip them from 3. The topmost are misconduct fines. The middle ones are station calls. And you don't have to be an intellectual. The rest of the